Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can't.
And I wish I could sing, but I cannot. But I can teach math. So I guess it balances out. So, welcome to day 4 of the 12 Days of Giveaway. My name is Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher. And what I do on my channel is I provide teachers or math teachers like yourself with evidence based, research based strategies that can be implemented in your classroom as early as the very next day. So thank you for attending. So if you are new here, type new in the comments section. Tell us where you're watching from. If you're part of the replay gang, a lot of people are catching the live stream on the replay. 6:30 is hard, and then like next week is the last week of school for teachers, so I know it's busy trying to get those Christmas programs together. It's a lot. So if you're wondering and you've been watching day 1, 2, and 3, how do I become a part of the 12 days of giveaway, and how do I get all of those freebies? Because day 1 was my 10 frame lesson or strategy that I created. And day 2 was place value. I put a scaffold in there to show the students how you go from left to right to help with cementing that number sense and number line concept with place value. Day 3, I gave away one of my own lesson plans, multiplication in equal groups. And tonight I have my own, and I'm gonna show you this. Let me see. My own, let's see if I can pull this off. See if I can change it to my secondary screen. Let's see, video source. I cannot. So let me see. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to mess this screen up. But it is my equal groups dividing on a number line. So it is let me see if I can print it out right quick and show you. Print current page. That's going to print out real quickly. So if you want to get the freebies, let me get this off of my printer. This is what I'm giving away along with some division practice. And this is for young students, and it can be for older students, especially if you're teaching dividing fractions or those type of concepts. So it has your dividend and your divisor, and the students have to find the answer, and it shows how to divide. You have your total, and it's two, and it matches this concrete model, which is, I know a lot of people question why we do this, but I think it's helpful, in some way, but it does help them to practice and take what they know about this concrete model and to a linear model, which is always more difficult. But if you want to be a part of the 12 days of giveaway, today is day 4. You have exactly 8 more days to join and get the free giveaways. You do not have to, all you have to do is opt in. The link is in the description of my YouTube video. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up and drop it in. Let me see. I'm going to drop it in the comment section while we are live. You hear my video. So you don't have to do the link to join the 12 days of giveaway. There you go. So if you're interested in becoming or signing up, I will be live streaming Saturday and Sunday, and it will end on Friday. Friday is the last day before we get out for the break. So you're probably asking, well, what do you give in these giveaways? So we started with place value. That was day 1. Day 2, addition and subtraction. Multiplication was yesterday. Long division is today, which I love division. And I'm going to show you the vertical alignment for it. Fractions is next. Decimals, then percents, order of operations, and algebraic concepts, which for my secondary people, I have to keep them in the know. And that will wrap up on day 12, which is December 20th. And that will conclude all of this. And you won't be able to join the 12 days of giveaway after that. So if you are interested, you need to sign up as soon as possible so you can get those 12 freebies that I am giving away. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I don't know what is going on with my shirt. I don't know what that is. But anyway, today is day 4, and we're talking about strategies that close gaps. There are hard to teach concepts in mathematics. Like, I don't know if it's a trend to struggle with place value. It's very rare that you have students that are proficient in place value. It's very rare that, like, it's rarer that they are proficient in multiplication and division. What we're seeing now is even the higher level students are not proficient with these skills. And it's the secondary teachers that are screaming that they don't understand these basic concepts enough to even do calculus. It was a math teacher. I'm not sure where I saw the article, but she was saying that it's basic division, and the students who are taking calculus cannot divide. They can't divide. And it's the saddest thing to even think of, because that's one of my goals when I taught 5th grade, was to make sure that my students could divide, Not with that hangman division, but with the standard algorithm going to middle school, because I knew what it was like to be going to middle school and you can't divide. You will immediately get left behind if you can't divide going to middle school. So I'm going to start out with the basic understanding of division. And your students, I'm not saying they should, they must understand this concept. So I always use this. I'm going to start with 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Now, this is your dividend. And why you saying, well, why do they need to know that? Because it's math. This is the divisor, or means the one that is doing the dividing. This is also the size. And this is your quotient. But it also answers the question, how many groups? So if this says how many groups, this tells you how many are in the group. And this is an easier way for students to understand the basics of division. Now, I'm not going to go into inverses because I teach addition and subtraction together, and I teach multiplication and division together because they're inverses of each other. And that's a whole other conversation. Maybe that's something I'll focus on next year. But this year, we're talking about just understanding. A lot of our students that are in intervention do not understand this part. They don't. Now, they understand that I'm dividing. Yeah, I'm breaking it up, but they don't understand that division is repeated subtraction. So if you're starting intervention with division, this is where you start with labeling what they see. Because when these students go here, 12 divided by 3, it transfers very easily because you can name these parts. This is your dividend. It does not change. This is your divisor, the one that's doing the dividing, or how many are going to be in the group. And this is your quotient. It's still how many groups you can make. That is it. So when we talk about teaching for the vertical alignment, this is why we don't say give these cute names, because when it transfers, the name can stay the same and the students are not struggling. It's still the same. But what I notice, a lot of teachers are not teaching this. They're not. This is the basics. So when you have 12, and I'm going to put them in equal groups. I never can get it right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I have a total, and I named this. The dividend can also be the total. And why do I do that? For your emerging bilingual students, it may be hard for them to remember this, but they remember total, and then you just continue reinforcing dividend and total. Well, with division, in order for it to be division, it has to begin with the total. That's how you differentiate between multiplication and division. Multiplication does not begin with the total. Division does. Now, it says, okay, I have a total of 12. The divisor is the size of my groups. So if I'm going to divide each by 3, and I said the quotient answers the question, how many groups? There are 4 groups that you can make when you're dividing by 3. That's the basics of division, like bare bone. If you teach this and give your students a good foundation, or if you're trying to clear up misconceptions, it will help so much with your students making the jump from the concept to this. This is abstract. It's very abstract. So I'm going to show you how abstract it is. A lot of people are like, well, my kids, they don't use this thing, and they should. They call it the standard algorithm because everybody's using it. It's called standard. So say, for instance, I have 151 divided by 3. When you have your students interpret what is happening, you can have a whole conversation about this, about what is happening. I have my divisor. It's the one that's doing the what? The dividing. And it's how many groups of 3 can I get from 151? Go back to that language that always talks about grouping, because it makes the children think. And even if you are teaching 5th or 6th grade, 7th grade, go back to the language that is simple for students to understand. Very simple. Multiplication chart. 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 groups of point to the multiplication sign. 2 is 6. And you cement that in the students' minds about what they're going to be doing. And we're talking about groups. And it's all about interpretation. Now, when I teach division, I teach through a T-chart, because the divisor is the one doing the dividing, and it's the size that we're trying to see if we can get. How many groups of 3 can we get? Which that quotient answers that question. So 1 group of 3 is 3. 2 groups of 3 is 6. We can't get a group of 3 for 1, so we're going to move over. I draw a line here because it helps students visualize. 3 groups of 3 is 9. 4 groups of 3 is 12. Okay, we're getting closer. Look, 12. Let's see if we can go another. 5 groups of 3 is 15. So I have a group of 3. I can create, because remember, that quotient answers the question, how many groups? And I generally name these. These are your top and these are your bottom numbers. And you probably say, why? Because students that struggle with division need labels. And this gives them direction. Okay, these numbers always go at the top. These numbers always go at the bottom. They don't have an issue with that. So also I have them box it in. 5. So this 5 goes at the top. The 15 goes at the bottom. Then we're going to subtract. That's 0. I have them create another division house. 0, 1. So they already have their factors here, or groups that they can make. There is no 1. So the answer is 0. Some will argue that you need to put 0, 0 up there. If I were teaching this for 3rd grade, absolutely. But if you're teaching this beyond that, 0 is not necessary, because you can always talk about how many groups of 3. If I have 0 groups of 3, how many groups do I have? 0. And you have those conversations and it clears up this with this zero, because zero is an issue. And unfortunately, zero becomes an issue because a lot of teachers, no disrespect to my K1, 2 teachers, they say zero is a placeholder. Zero is not a placeholder. It does not hold a place. It is there because there's not any value. Zero says that you have not any value. Just like math is supposed to be real. Do you go to the cafeteria and you want to buy some chips and they say you got a placeholder? That makes no sense. And I really wish teachers would stop doing that because it sets students up for failure in the upper grades, especially when they have to do decimals. And I'll talk about that when we get to decimals. So there's not anything here. If I multiply 3, and this goes back to where I was pointing, 3 times 0, 3 groups of 0 is 0. So we have a remainder of 1. That's division. Now, you're probably saying, well, okay, I teach secondary. How does this connect to secondary? Well, in 5th grade, they have to divide whole numbers by a fraction and a fraction by a whole number. I don't think I put it on here. This is an old anchor chart that I made. So they, in 5th grade, for the state of Texas, they have to be able to understand division enough and apply it to a linear model. Your linear model is always a number line. Go figure. So here you have 2 divided by 1/5 equal 10. So as you can see, you have the total 2 on the number line and it's partitioned into fifths. It's still the same concept. It says that's the size of it. That's your total. The size of each part is a fifth. So when you go from 0 to 1/5, that's a fifth. And you're breaking it down. And it asks the question, how many fifths are there in 2 whole? There are 10. And you can see that by counting the jumps or hops on the number line. Then you have the conceptual piece, which is the tape diagram. You can still break it down. You see the 1 whole, 1/5, and that goes back to unit fractions. So all of these things, they connect. And a lot of times why children struggle with division is because they don't have that basic understanding. And what I'm telling you is, if you're an interventionist, especially at the secondary level, go back to this basics right here. Go back to this basics here. This will lay the foundation. And you have conversations about this. And you always go back to this. And make them explain. Why do we say that this is repeated subtraction? They should be able to explain that it's repeated subtraction because when you're taking out 3, that's still subtracting. I tell my students the difference between subtraction and division is that they both break things apart. But the difference is division says we're breaking it apart in equal groups. It's equally divided. That's the difference between division and subtraction. And I tell the students, just like with multiplication, a lot of the students struggle with, especially in problem solving, when to multiply and when to add, because it all looks the same, because multiplication is repeated addition. But if it says equally, that's one other characteristic that addition does not have. Division, same thing. It has to be equally divided, or when you get to 5th grade, it'll say you have 40 kids and how many buses do you need? Are they ordered 6 buses? Is that enough? So you find they talk about what to do with those remainders, but if the students don't understand those basics, then it is going to always be a struggle. So my time is up. That's all I have for you all today. But I want to encourage you to join the 12 days of giveaway. I have dropped the link into the comment section. And if you have any questions, I'm just a comment section away. If you're on the email list and you have any questions, just hit the reply button and I'll respond as soon as possible. Thank you for joining this live stream, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5 of the 12 days of giveaway. Bye-bye.